Okay, we're going to get into our last set of lessons for Unit 9. Again, so far in this unit, we've kind of reviewed and learned about a few new function families. We've done linear, exponential, quadratic, absolute value, and square root. In this lesson, we're just going to be comparing all of these functions to each other and also comparing how the transformations for these different functions are similar. Hopefully in those first 5 lessons, you kind of noticed that all of the functions can be translated or moved around in a similar way. So our learning target for this lesson says, I can identify transformations by comparing to the parent function of a function family. Remembering here that parent function is our original function of our family. For our do now, we're going to be looking at the Regents packet number 5. So if you want to go ahead and pull up your Regents packet, let's take a look at number 5. It says the graph of the function p of x is represented below. On the same set of axes, sketch the function p of x plus 2. So we don't really know what p of x is. They didn't give us an equation or a function rule that represents it. We just know that it's the parabola that we see in the graph. What they're telling us to do here is to graph p of x plus 2. So what we need to think about is how does that plus 2 inside of the parentheses affect our function? And if you remember from all of the function families that we learned about, we learned that this number that is put inside of the parentheses is our h. And we know that our h value can move the graph left or right, and it moves the opposite. If it's positive, it goes to the left, negative, it goes to the right. So in this particular function, because we see a plus 2 inside of the parentheses, that means that our graph is going to be moved to the left 2 units. So to graph our answer here, we need to take this parabola and shift it to the left. So I'm just going to move a couple key points that I see here to the left. I'll move my y-intercept. I can move my 2 x-intercepts. And our graph would look something like this. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to represent that the whole parabola is being moved to the left 2 units. So to get into our lesson for today, you're going to need the last packet that's been posted. It's called Function Families Part 3, and we're going to start at the top of page 1. For our mini lesson problem here, it says the function f of x is graphed on the set of axes below. On the same set of axes, graph f of x plus 1 plus 2. So just like our do now, we don't know an equation for f of x, but what we do know is how they're asking us to transform or translate this function. So we know here that the plus 1 would be our h value, and the plus 2 on the end here, we know that on the end, that's always our k value. So going back to our h value here, I know that when we put a plus 1 inside the parentheses, that means to move the graph to the left 1 unit. And when we put this plus 2 on the end, it's also telling us to move up 2 units. So to graph our answer here, we need to move every point to the left 1 unit and up 2 units. So again, I'm going to just identify some key points, and I'm going to move them to the left 1 and up 2. And then we'll go ahead and just sketch our graph in here. And it should look something like this. So again, the way that this was translated was to the left 1 and up 2. Let's take a look at one more question together. Our guided practice problem is also on page 1. It said, Richard is asked to transform the graph of b of x below. The graph of b of x is transformed by using the equation h of x equals b of x minus 2 minus 3. Describe how the graph of b of x has been transformed to form the graph of h of x. So go ahead and try this question and then come back here to check if your answer is correct. So for this question, just like our do now and mini lesson, I see here that this minus 2 inside the parentheses means that the graph has been moved to the right 2 units, and that this minus 3 on the end means that we move down 3 units. So to describe how b of x was changed to form h of x, we would say that the graph was moved to the right 2 units and down 3 units. So let's go ahead and try our checkpoint question. Please try to pause this video, answer the question, and then come back to check your work. So for your checkpoint question, it says, which transformation of y equals f of x moves the graph 7 units to the left and 3 units down? So there's two transformations we're looking for here. The first is 7 units to the left. Well, I know that when I'm moving to the left or to the right, that is our h value inside the parentheses, and I know it's opposite. If I want to move to the left, I'd have to be plus. So I know that inside of the parentheses, I should be x plus 7. So we can eliminate choices 3 and 4, since those would instead be moving to the right. If we look at our other transformation 3 units down, we know that the variable that moves our graph up and down is our k variable, and I'm looking for a -3 if I want to move down. So I could cross out choices 2 and 4. So that shows us that our answer here should be choice number 1. Choice number 1 shows that we're going 7 units to the left with that +7 inside the parentheses, and we're moving 3 units down with that -3 on the outside. So thinking about how you did on this question, let's take a look at our independent practice. If you correctly chose choice 1, please start with the green problems. If you instead chose choices 2 or 3, please start with the yellow problems. And if you chose choice 4, please try the red problems. No matter what group you're starting in, everyone here should notice that you are able to answer numbers 2 and 11 as well in your Regents packet. So please pause this video, go and try these questions, and then come back to check your work. Okay, taking a look at our answers here. Here's the bottom of page 1, numbers 1 and 2. Here is page 2, numbers 3, 4, and 5. And here's the bottom of page 2. Here's number 6. As always, if you have any questions about this lesson, please reach out to any of us or come to Extra Help. The last thing that you should do is on the new exit ticket 9.3, you should be able to answer question number 1. In addition to this, you can now also answer question number 1 from homework 9.3.